and welcome to Analysis. I am Oyi Adekunle. A fleeing ex-chairman of the Pension Reform Task Team, Abdulrasheed MAINA, has been rearrested in Niger Republic. MAINA is being prosecuted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on charges of money laundering of 2 billion naira. But since he was granted bail, MAINA stopped appearing in court. Recall that Justice Okonabang of the Federal High Court in Abuja last week revoked the bail granted the fleeing defendant and ordered his arrest. Also, Borno South Senator Alundume ran into trouble and spent about 5 days in Kuje prison before he was eventually granted bail for standing as surety for MAINA. Well, I guess MAINA will now be answering for his actions now by himself. But joining me to discuss more on this is a legal practitioner, Evans UFELI, who joins us via Skype from another part of Lagos. Evans, thank you very much for joining me on the program now. First off, are you surprised at the turnout of events regarding MAINA?
Well, I'm not surprised because I'm rather surprised at the court and the judicial system. Remember that before MAINA was arrested, he had this long battle of running from one country to the other and then escaping or trying to escape justice, the long arm of the law, until he was finally arrested before his prosecution. Now, upon his prosecution, he was granted bail and he jumped bail because he already had that record. If you look at it critically, I know that it is the citizens' fundamental right based on the Constitution to be have a right to be granted bail. But also, if you look at some other persons who committed similar economic and financial crime, okay, like Olisa Metu and Sambo Dasuki, those persons were kept in detention for a very long time, even against court orders that they should be released. Okay, but in the case of MAINA, he was granted bail. Almost immediately, he was arraigned. And with someone who have the records of running away from answering to the charges that have been leveled against him, I am not surprised that took off again up until today or so, where he is, was stated in the news that he has been arrested somewhere in Niger. And I think that is commendable. I want to also say that by our extradition laws under the African Union and extradition treaties that we have within the African space and even across Europe, United Kingdom, and the US, it is in order where you have a suspect of such nature, of a high-profile crime or alleged crime, and then the suspect, have jumped bail and is in hiding. There is international collaboration for the purpose of investigation and apprehension, and that is what just took place. So he has been arrested, he's going to be extradited, and then he's going to come and stand trial for the offense that he has committed.
And Evans, as you rightly said, this same MAINA in 2012, shortly after he was accused of looting pension fund, he was dismissed from the civil service. That was pending prosecution, but somehow he fled. And now, after his initial escape from the country, should he have been granted bail again?
Well, I say bail is a fundamental right of citizens, okay? But we should also know that bail is at the discretion of the court, okay? That is why I said I am surprised that, because if bail is at the discretion of the courts, even though it forms largely part of the fundamental right of citizens, I am surprised that he was allowed to, go that way. He should have been granted bail or possibly be placed under house arrest or some other kind of a legal construct that will restrain him, or possibly, seize his passport and then make sure that he's not able to board any vehicle or any flight out of the country or go through any of our borders, okay? Now, this brings to fore the porousness of our borders, okay? If our borders were secured and then we have the requisite authorities on duty, they would have cited him while he was escaping through Niger, from Nigeria through Niger. okay? Because I do not think he took flight to that point. Because by now, I believe his passport should have been seized by the relevant authority. So I am deeply surprised, as you expressed, that someone who have such record of, running away, escaping justice, or making attempt to do so, shouldn't have been granted bail to walk freely, to do things freely, and to go to places unmonitored. So that is why I said I'm surprised at the law enforcement agencies, at the court system, and at the authorities that should watch out at our borders, both our air and land border. So I'm deeply surprised at the way he was allowed to move around, and then.
And now, from a legal perspective, now let us know, what are the consequences of jumping bail?
Well, there are penalties attached to this. First of all, the shorty, the person who stood for him, that is in the person of Aline Dume, Senator Aline Dume, is already in the cooking jar, okay? Because if you stand as shorty for a suspect, what it means in law is that you are saying that at every point that the suspect is required to be in court, you will produce him. And it is on the basis of that logic that he's released. So where the suspect is nowhere to be found, the shorty will be called to come and, show cause, okay? And that is exactly what is happening. It is not the law that the shorty will take the place of the suspect. The shorty will only come and show cause, and then will be impelled to forfeit the bail bond that he signed for the release of the suspect. Okay? So it is in the interest of the shorty, therefore, to make sure to provide necessary information, to collaborate and cooperate with the law enforcement agencies, to make sure that the suspect is traced, okay, arrested, and then prosecuted accordingly. So there's a lot on the shoulders of Senator Aline Dume as regards this alleged offense. So it is in the interest of the country that MAINA must stand trial for the alleged offenses that are leveled against him. And in so doing, Aline Dume, who stood as shorty for him, must also, as a matter of necessity, show cause, forfeit the bail bond, produce him, and get him to stand trial according to law. That is the position of the law. And that is why he was arrested and then charged accordingly and then sent to jail prison up until he was granted bail, the process.
Right, so we'll get back to Aline Dume very shortly. But then, let's just imagine if this had been a successful escape on the part of MAINA, what would it have meant for Nigeria's fight against corruption?
If he had escaped, it would have been another, huge loss to the country. Because people like this, suspects like this, with high-profile allegations, are not supposed to be allowed to escape justice. Because when they do, it creates room for others, for like minds, okay, to trail the same path and get away with it. Okay? Thank goodness he has been arrested. But if his arrest had been unsuccessful, it would have given us a very big blow, economic loss, the wastages, and all that. Already we're in recession. And now you can see that because of the lack of coordination, the nation will have to spend so much money to trail him to wherever he is today, arrest him, extradite him, go through all the international protocols and all international relations, administrative processes to be able to procure him to stand trial. This cost a lot. And then the country is paying for this. Remember, the country is already running at loss because it is alleged that he embezzled pension funds, huge amount of money. The country is already in loss of that. Then the country will have to spend more money, more resources, taxpayers' money to chase suspects, okay, to wherever they are to get them rearrested, stand trial. I mean, this is why we think that law enforcement agencies should be more coordinated. They should be more strategic in their approach to, getting suspects. Whoever has committed any crime should be arrested and according to law. Where such suspects have a tendency or the proclivities of jumping bail, such suspect should not be granted bail. Or if the suspect is granted bail, such suspect must be monitored so that it does not jump bail again.
And you know what, Evans, I'll just let you take a pause here, and we'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll come and look at the aspects that you just mentioned, which is the coordination of our security forces and the judicial system as well. And we'll also be talking on the Ali Ndume's part as well. Please, we'll take a short break here, and when we return, Evans UFELI will be discussing more on this matter with me on the program. Don't go away. Welcome back to the program. We're still talking about the rearrest of Ali Ndume, who was, of course, rearrested in Niger Republic after he jumped bail in Nigeria. And I still have on the program Evans UFELI, a legal practitioner who joins us via Skype from another part of Lagos. Evans, thank you very much for staying with us on the program. Now, let's talk about Ali Ndume now. He said at the time when he stood as surety for MAINA that he only agreed to stand because the accused is one of his constituents from Borno South. Now, what do you make of that excuse that he gave, or that reason, I should say, that he gave?
Well, for whatsoever reason he has given or he gave for standing as surety for MAINA, such reasons cannot uphold the law. Such reasons have no basis or bearing on the legality or otherwise of his of him jumping bail and then the consequences thereof. What I mean is that the reasons that Senator Ali Ndume has given cannot erase the consequences provided by law on what should happen or what should be done to a surety whose suspect have jumped bail or have escaped. Okay, so the consequences remain the same: is to show cause, to forfeit the bail bond, and then to make sure that he does everything within his capacity to make sure that the suspect is rearrested. Otherwise, I mean, the security agencies will keep trailing him and then keep taking him from one point to another until the suspect is produced.
And so this would mean that now that MAINA has been rearrested, Ndume is a free man. He doesn't have any case to answer anymore. Is this what it means?
Well, he has an obligation to, at this point, perhaps apply that he wants to relinquish the surety, that he can apply that he does no longer want to stand as surety. He has a responsibility to do that at this point. But if he chooses to continue as a surety, then so be it. But he will remain so to his peril. That is to say, if the suspects, decide to jump bail again.
Also, let me understand now. Ali Ndume can come out now and say that he no longer wants to stand as surety for MAINA. Is that what you're saying?
Of course, he can bring an application to that effect. Okay, to say that he wants to pull out. Okay, in which case they will get a replacement. Okay, while the case continues. That is, if he's going to be granted bail, because now they have revoked the bail already. Okay, the bail he so enjoyed before now has been revoked. So now he has been rearrested. Okay, so if he is granted bail again, and Aline Dume wants to continue, fine. If he wants to pull out, fine. But there must be a replacement, because a suspect cannot walk out of the courts or the security agencies without someone taking that person on bail. Okay? Someone or some persons must take the suspect on bail for reasons like this, where the suspect jumped bail in future. Somebody must be held responsible and accountable for that action, and that is where we are.
And now let's look at the seemingly let's say complicity now, if we can call it that, of the judicial system and security forces, as you rightly pointed out, because it does seem like this system is set up to aid government officials in getting away with crime, don't you think? You rightly said earlier that MAINA, we know, would have passed through Nigerian roads, getting to Niger Republic, and a warrant of arrest had been issued. He had been declared wanted by the EFCC and all of that. So would you not consider this complicity by security forces? I mean, government officials just seem to be able to get away with these things.
Not just government officials. There's a large level of complicity and security compromise in Nigeria. Someone of that level, as I've been talking about MAINA, should have been watched carefully, because, I mean, I will not blame the judiciary wholesomely here, because the judiciary responded to the fundamental rights of the citizen. You know, the counsel to MAINA have brought that application to have him granted bail, and same was granted, okay, based on the provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended, okay? So now that is granted bail, the conditions for the bail ought to have been, you know, made a little bit stiff, so that, because he has a record of jumping bail, that will forestall it. But the judiciary did not see it from that point. And then the law enforcement agencies accordingly did not also do much to, you know, make sure that he's within the country, is within time and space, where he can always come and, you know, and answer to the charges against him. And more importantly, the shorty too was not diligent with the suspect. The shorty ought to have, you know, made concerted effort to ensure that the suspect is within reach, and then provide adequate information to that effect. Because we had cases where some shorties will collude with the suspect in order to escape. And at the end of the day, they run into the backlash of the consequences of that action. So I'm not saying that is the case here, but we have a plethora of cases where such had happened in the past. So I think that both the judicial system, both the law enforcement agencies, Nigerians, the customs, is it customs now, or the ones that watch over the border? Yeah. So they should have made, and ultimately our borders will need to do something about it. You see, this is just one case that is opening up a lot of things. We have a lot of people migrating into Nigeria and out of Nigeria through the borders. It is part of why insurgency has grown to this level. It is part of which smuggling of goods have grown to this level, and the rest of it. I thought they said the borders were closed. So how was he able to leave? Those are questions we should ask ourselves, because I do not think he took a flight out of the country. He must have gone through the roads and all that. So our security agencies, the court system, and Nigerians in particular must, you know, rejig the process and the attention we pay to security. It is very important. The reason there's high level of insecurity in Nigeria today is because a lot of persons don't care really what the situation is. People are all preoccupied with the cross of survival. Everybody wants to survive in the system, and that leaves a lot of room for complicity and security compromise, where you now have issues like this before us. I know of countries where if you are not placed under house arrest, some persons are recruited to guide and monitor your movement and give information to the relevant authorities when such person is being investigated or when such person is standing trial for a particular offense. I know that is done all over the world, but we need to do something about our security system, our borders, our judicial system, and our country as a whole.
Well, very well. So thank you very much, Evans UFELI, for sharing your profound thoughts with us on this issue on analysis. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Well, with that, we've come to the end of this episode of the program. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next time. I am Oyi Adekunle. Bye for now.